Here we are, guys. Week 17, the closest we get to NFL preseason, with all the injuries, news, people sitting, starting. How are you going to figure out how to do with it? That's why I'm here. I'm Moose, host of this show. I'm here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on Twitter. You can follow me directly at CFB_Moose. What's going on, guys? I cannot wait to tell you some of the gems that we found out so far. Let me go ahead and get this tweeted while we're doing that. If you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification. If you're watching us here on Twitch, go ahead and give us a follow. It really helps us out. I'm alongside co-founder Brian Jester FF of Occupy. What's up, Brian? How's it going, man?
I'm loving the jacket game you got going today.
It's cold. It's weird. It's like 70 degrees out, maybe like 60. But yeah, it's this my office just gets cold as shit no matter where I am. So yeah, that's just how it is. You excited for tomorrow, man?
I am. Week 17 is always a different beast with news of players sitting and different motivations and players wrestling with injuries and
Mm-hmm.
nothing to play for. So we've already seen a few guys be ruled out. We've had some Saturday surprises, and I'm sure we'll have some Sunday morning surprises too. So be sure to be flexible with what we discuss because as good as this slate looks, I guarantee some of the top plays aren't even known right now, but they'll be known tomorrow when inactives come out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, and it's always odd. It's like when you have something that has a lot of information based towards it, like not our model. The model can get a little bit funky, and you have to kind of read
Yep.
between the lines. That's why we have the daily plug, which is up here on OccupyFantasy.com. We have that up here. We'll show you guys a little bit of it as we go throughout the stream. We'll be here for maybe about an hour or so. If you have questions, you're a subscriber, VIP, go ahead and ask questions. We'll make sure to get you answered. If you haven't been around here before, say hello. We'll go ahead and get you a question answered if you're new here. Or you can also cheer some bits. If you really like what we do, you can show some love, cheer some bits, and we'll get your questions answered. So, cover boy narrative of the, uh, the daily plug as we look here. Our boy Michael Thomas, he seems like by far the lock of the day, right?
Yeah, it's very rare that we recommend, especially in the past, to recommend paying up for receivers
Mm-hmm.
in low risk contests. But with all the value this week, you can certainly do it. So he's a guy in a game that the Saints are playing to win. They're playing for a potential bye. And it's in one of the games actually where the total hasn't dropped that much. It's dropped a good amount, but it's not some of the leaders. Like Moose, maybe we should review some of the crazy line moves we've seen
Yeah.
over the course of the week. We talked about it some in our Week 17 podcast, but there are definitely more that have happened since we recorded on Thursday.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and see. We got some people here in the chat. Jimmy, what's up? Hova two says what's going on, guys. Jimmy says Tampa Bay and Atlanta over under 48.
Yeah, as much as it pains me to say, I'll be stacking that game, but it's not a slam dunk play by any means. It's down to 47.5 at some books, and it opened
Wow.
at 50.5. So we'll see how these two teams play. They played similar games last year with nothing to play for,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended up shooting out some. So we'll see if the same can happen this year.
Absolutely. Yep. So as we go ahead and pull up the Occupy model for quarterbacks, go ahead and refresh this to get the most recent data. Yeah, as we were going through the week, and we're seeing these massive line moves, we're like, this can't be right, and
It
sure as hell it
is.
is. Yeah. So on the bad side of things, you have Houston with a -6 team total move, which is just absolutely insane. I don't think we've seen that all year.
Look at the spread move, +7. So
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien has said that we're playing to win. We're not necessarily resting starters, but one look at the betting markets tells you all you need to know that Houston is not going to play probably Deshaun Watson, probably not some of their other star players as well.
Yep. Um, Chris said, I like how the model just went nope on Sean Manning, and by the way, just not even.
No, no, don't even consider him.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and the other three games, or other three teams that have a 3-point move or worse: Jacksonville, Baltimore, Carolina. All three or worse team total moves. This is not good at all.
No, I mean, very rarely do we see something over 2. So we
Yeah.
see 3 or higher. That speaks a lot. And then you look even further: Tampa Bay, the Chargers, Seattle in that night game, the Rams, who are likely resting some players, and then even the Browns and Bengals and the Broncos a little lower too. It's a crazy week. The highest total is 48, I think, and almost every single total has dropped. So it'll be an interesting week. I think I guess we'll see, because it's a balance between there are going to be some nice values,
Hmm.
some cheaper guys to play, but games will be lower scoring in general. So I'm curious to see how the winning GPP scores end up.
Yeah, and if we look on the flip side, and this kind of takes back to what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago when we had a similar Vegas thing where all the lines were moving and
Mm-hmm.
not in our direction. And I made a comment. It was like, all right, well, if everything's a piece of shit, everything's just still normal. You play it like you normally do.
Right.
And I believe you. That was that when you won your ticket to Puerto Rico.
It was either that week or the Mike Evans week. I can't remember. But I think, yeah, it might have been the no. I think it was the Puerto Rico week. I think you're right. So
Yeah.
what I would do here, what if you're playing high risk contests? We love talking about stacking two sides of a game, but maybe with all these with these lower totals, maybe you're just stacking one side and running back with only one player from the other side.
Yep. Got a couple questions here in the chat. What's up, Jake? He says, "Yo, would you increase your player pool this week with all the craziness going on, or keep it the same?"
No, and this is going to be a common mistake, and it's hard not to do this with all the plays opening up and the fact that there are 15 games
Hmm.
on the schedule on the slate. So you got to stick to your same player pool size. It's going to be tough, but you have to take some stands at different positions. So find guys in the absolute best spots and stick to those. Maybe if you're rotating some receivers in, or some tight ends in. But even so, I think there are some top tier plays at all the positions. Our underperforming receivers list is long enough this week that I think you really don't have to stretch it beyond what you normally would.
Yep. And then AJ says, even though Houston can't move much for seeding, do you think they still go starters most of the game so a divisional rival doesn't get in? I think no, just because what the betting markets have indicated.
Yeah.
What 7 point spread move against their favor
Right. I
is.
mean, maybe they believe that. I don't think that's. I mean, just I don't think it's a smart thing in general to do. Maybe that's something they would believe. But again, the
Mhm.
betting markets tell us everything we need to know. That I imagine by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we'll have a Schefter or Rappaport tweet saying that Texans are resting their starters.
Probably, yeah. Yep. And the model will go crazy, and then I'll have to redo all my lineups.
Yeah. Chris says it's not on the screen here, but the Vikings have nearly an 8 point team total drop
Good
with their
God.
backup quarterback in. So that alone really boosts up the Bears defense in our model too.
Yeah, and I'm looking here. Where is he? Um, yeah, I'm trying to. I think that that game is just so bad. That's why it's not showing up in the model in some cases. But um, yeah, we'll get right on that. But I
Well,
mean,
basically, it's Sean Mannion projects so poorly that he doesn't even meet the minimum
yeah,
OF index threshold, which we set up to avoid Taysom Hill showing up in the model when he was listed as a quarterback. But that threshold is so low that Sean Mannion doesn't even surpass that for tomorrow. So that's all you need to know.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the way I was trying to say it. Yeah. So
Whoa.
what?
Hova too in the chat. I would like to thank you guys. Last week I was able to take on 79K Sunday NFL cover two single entry for $7,000.
Wow,
Well,
nice,
well done, Hova.
dude.
Put your lineup in the chat. We'd love to see what you did. That's incredible. That's super awesome.
Yeah,
Congrats, man.
that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
Jimmy TD in the chat. What are the group of teams you feel will go the whole game with the starters? And this is listed in the plug, but we can talk about it really quickly here.
Hmm.
Um, and just pulling it up really quickly. But teams that need to win in order to get into the playoffs: the Cowboys, Eagles, Raiders, Steelers, Titans, and then teams that are playing for a bye, specifically Chiefs, Packers, Patriots, Saints. Uh, any other team not listed there has potential to rest guys.
Hmm.
There's some more likely to rest than others, like the Bills, Ravens, Texans, and Vikings. Rams as well. But yeah, we can't know for sure that these eliminated teams will be playing their starters to the fullest extent.
Yep, totally agree. Now, how do we pull all this information together? That's what the Daily Plug's for, and Chris does a great job at talking about some stacks that we need to do. So if we take a look here, some games to stack, and as pointed out very early in the stream, that first game of Atlanta Tampa Bay, and you said you're stacking that game as well. I don't know if I'm going to touch it, but what's your opinion on it?
So high total game, Matt Ryan ranks #1 in the model. And especially on the Tampa Bay side, there are tons of pass catchers to like that you want to stack this game with. So I'll be going both sides of this. I think there's some other games on here that I might just stack one side, but I think I'll be running both quarterbacks in my lineups from here, both Matt Ryan and Jameis Winston. Matt Ryan, you can just get tons of exposure with Julio Jones, and maybe that's one of the only Falcons to use. Austin Hooper, Russell Gage as well if you're playing Matt Ryan. But Rashad Perriman, Justin Watson, OJ Howard, who's an underperforming receiver as a tight end this week. Lots of love here for this game, and we'll see. With the total dropping, it's a little scary, but I think the way the players project on both sides is too good to pass up.
No, I definitely understand that. And yeah, and Hova says, how can I share my lineup? Yeah, as Brian, you just said, you can tweet it at us. Bismo in the chat says, hope you guys had a good holiday. Looking forward to New Year with Occupy. Yeah, I've been watching like motivational videos this whole week, and I've just been getting like super hyped.
Ready for 2020. Oh, dude, by the way, I just saw your new chair looks incredible. Is it more comfortable than your old chair?
Yeah, so for those who don't know, my parents got me this like super awesome like gaming chair. Before I had some bullshit like office chair with no armrest and barely worked. So it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Definitely an upgrade for 2020.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's see here. All right, cool. Yeah, and in the second game, the stack Chris points out is this Eagles and Giants game, which I actually thought that this was my first initial thoughts before model came up and all that stuff. Was gonna be my game to stack just because it's gonna be so competitive, in my opinion, at least one-sided, and I still think about that. I think this is probably one of my favorite games of the week.
Yeah, this is an incredible game to stack. There is some concern with it being the second divisional matchup. However, the concentrated volume on the Eagle side makes it so perfect. So I'm still debating this, Moose, and we can talk about this out loud. But so I think the one side is great. Eagle stack and high risk contest. Mm-hmm. 3 Eagles, running back with 1, maybe 2 Giants, depending on how high risk the contest is. But you go Wentz, and then some combination of Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders, or Greg Ward.
Whoop,
and then the Giants have some options too with Saquon, Caden Smith, the tight end, Golden Tate's an underperforming receiver, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton can always pop off. So maybe 3-1's the best way, 3-2 just from the Eagles side, but I can certainly see playing Daniel Jones and going a 3-by-1, 3-by-2 Giant stack too.
Yeah, my first lineup was the 3-by-1. I don't necessarily think the Giants have enough in it to put up with that extra player, but I absolutely love Greg Ward this week. Basically almost minimum price, just crushing it. Goddard's a good play as well.
Zach Ertz out. So.
Yeah, Zach Ertz out. Only 4,900, I believe, on DraftKings. Crushing it, yeah. And then the last game is wrong way. The Saints and Panthers, which is a little bit interesting because I guess it's kind of like that Eagles game where one team needs to win, the other team kind of doesn't really need to. How do you take on this game?
Now, I think this here is the perfect one-sided stack where you just stack Breeze and his pass catchers and running back with 1 or 2 guys from the Panthers. Now, the biggest question for me is what do we do with Christian McCaffrey, who is still not cheap, still one of the highest priced guys we've ever seen in DFS. And all signs this week point towards them playing him a full workload, whether it's getting him the 67 yards he needs to get the 1,000 running and receiving, or whether it's the 216 yards he needs to break Chris Johnson's single season record. So I think they'll play it by ear. I don't know if they'll push him all the way through if he's not close to that 216, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there's enough incentive here to use him in high risk contests. There's a lot of risk too, though, in low risk contests where any sort of minor injury, any change in heart in getting him those records, he could be pulled early. So, I think in a stack setting, he's perfect. Also, like Curtis Samuel and some of the other guys there too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I still think he's a little bit too expensive for low risk. High risk, he can
Yeah.
be a good play if you stack it that way. Also got some more questions. Jake says, "What's your thought on T.Y. Hilton this week?"
Yeah, I like him, and I think he's actually on, if I'm not mistaken, our underperforming receivers list. Could be wrong on this one. Let me see. I'm going to double check. Underperforming. Yeah, he is on it. So T.Y. Hilton is on it. My only question is, so he played 52% of snaps in his return a couple weeks ago, and they said they're going to increase his snap count, and they did, but he only got up to 59%, so he wasn't playing his normal amount. Nothing to play for. I'm just really concerned that he doesn't end up playing more than half of the snaps in this game. So I think high risk you can take a shot, but again, I'm not sure he's going to end up playing a ton.
Makes sense. Yep. Um, Jimmy says Zeke has to be a top play this week. Yeah, he's up there in the model. He's written in the plug. Yeah, good play. Um,
Yeah,
Hope.
and
Go ahead.
people are noting that McCaffrey got pulled early last year in the last game of the year, but that was also with Ron Rivera coaching. Rivera's gone. Perry Fuel is the interim coach, and everything he said this week is indicated that McCaffrey's going to play a full complement of snaps.
Yeah, didn't he say we're gonna try and feed him the ball every play or something like that?
So yeah, we're getting the ball as in many ways as we can. So
Yep. Hova, have you guys thought about making your ebook like an actual book? I want to purchase it, but I don't have a Kindle. If you purchase it on a website, you get it in a PDF form, so you can view it on your computer, um, stuff like that.
yeah, you don't necessarily need a Kindle as long as you have a computer or even a phone. You can download the PDF version.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not cost effective for us to make it into a book. So
Yeah. Jimmy, yeah, as he pointed out, CMC got pulled early. Um, excuse me. Helmy's father, what's up? Like, always glad to see you here. Who is healthy enough, and who do you trust for a potential Cleveland stack versus Cincy's lousy defense?
yeah, super tough. Probably Chubb, definitely Landry, and we'll see how Odell feels. Odell, I'm still gonna go back to the well one more game with him. Um, yeah, I think those are the guys in order. Chubb, even Hunt too, but Landry's probably the safest of the group. I still think Odell has some of the highest upside, even though he hasn't converted yet this year, really.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me. Um, Jake says thoughts on Hundley if Murray's out.
Yeah, I imagine he's minimum price. I haven't looked at him too much, but again, nice offensive scheme. Rams are resting their starters more than likely. I'm already missing two DBs, so I could see worse plays. An Arizona stack with Drake, Hundley, and Christian Kirk isn't the worst thing in the world. And running back with a backup Ram if we find out that all the starters are sitting. I like that idea.
Yeah, let me see what his price is if I can find him on the slate.
He,
4,500
should be
for
mid.
Hundley.
Yeah, yeah, he should be mid. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Bismo says, "What's more to Gen Week 17 or Pro Bowl?" I'm gonna go
Dude,
weeks.
definitely. I say week 17 because
Mhm.
Pro Bowl we know just to jam in tight ends.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun stream. We basically built a lineup. That lineup crushed. I told you what to do. Like nobody did. Not Occupy members didn't do it, but Occupy members cleaned up.
Yeah, everyone cleaned up. I mean, I won a shit ton of tickets that day that helped me get some tickets for the Super Bowl. So
Yep. Um, Jake says, "Do you think this is a three running back week in high risk?"
this is tough because there are a lot of running backs in good spots, but there are also tons of receivers in underperforming spots. Um, it's very tough for me. I would probably lean towards running backs, especially if you're paying up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's tough. I wouldn't necessarily go the other. I wouldn't set a hard rule that I want a running back or I want a receiver in flex this week.
Makes sense to me. Um, Hope it makes a good point. We didn't have our $1 million mission of weeks this week, so we couldn't talk about it. But He says, congrats on your win in the FanDuel Sunday Million. I noticed the top three that won the contest had the exact same lineup with the exact players in the exact same spot. So I believe it was some form of, I mean, I don't want to actually call anybody out on it, but it looked more like it was some sort of optimizer or something of that nature.
Yeah, I don't know. It was we got closer. I think I finished seventh or something in the Sunday Million for my second top 10 of the year. So definitely incredible. And yeah, I think all the lineups ahead of me were Bengal stacks, so that kind of sucked at the end of that game.
Yeah. Jimmy TD, Scott Miller, and Justin Watson, TP wide receivers. Is Perriman for real?
Yeah, Scotty Miller's on IR, so don't play him. Justin Watson is legit, and Perriman's volume is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
He looked last week. I'll bring it up really quickly for you because I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. I know Perriman pops in the model. He's projected for like 10 targets, which is insane for Rashad Perriman. But if you look last week, as I pull it up, Perriman had 12 targets for 201 air yards.
Good God.
Pretty good. And then Justin Watson right behind him, 10 targets, 161 air yards. Like, even without Mike Evans, even without Chris Godwin, Bruce Arians in this offense is firing shots downfield. Both these guys had average depth of target over 16 yards. O.J. Howard, 133 air yards as a tight end on 7 targets. So 19 average depth of target for a tight end. So, like, they're still launching downfield, and that's not going to change against Atlanta secondary this week.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. Yeah. And, yeah, as Bismuth points out, congrats that you got 7th. And I made the post. So I believe all 6 people in front of you had Andy Dalton, which was not fun.
Yeah, to be 100% honest, I had 3 big lineups outside of my Sunday Million, and I went 0 for 3. And actually, a lot of my Sunday Million lineups bombed. Period. Just that one lineup went off. Yeah. So I actually ended up breaking even for the week, which is terrible because I got back like 11,500 on 2 lineups or something. So on 2 entries. Yeah. So there you go.
Ouch. Yep. So, all right. So we'll be here for a couple more minutes. Not a couple more minutes. Maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. If you guys have any more questions, definitely go ahead and ask them. Can't wait for playoffs because once we start getting those showdown slates for playoffs is when we're going to have projected ownership in the model for them. We've been working really, really tough to find the right stuff to get it correct. Went ahead and did FanDuel ownership for the Monday night game. Got 95% correlation with actual ownership in the big GPPs. So that'll be awesome. So that'll be up not this week, but next week it'll be up in the model.
Yeah, I'm excited for playoffs too. The 4-game slates are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
They're having $1 million tournament on both sites. It's gonna be great, and yeah, hopefully they have some decent sized showdowns for each. I know they'll have big showdowns for the second games on both days, but I hope they do it for the first games as well. I mean, there's no reason not to. People are going to be playing these.
There should be, yeah.
We also missed Helmy's father earlier said, does that mean the Rams are resting Higbee? Yeah, we don't know for sure yet. And again, Gerald Everett has been kind of dinged up, so maybe they rest him and Higbee still plays. We don't know. We'll have to keep an eye and ears to the ground tomorrow morning to see what their intentions are.
Yep. Jake says, what's your Zeke exposure going to be?
Probably pretty high. I mean, I like him a lot. I like Aaron Jones a lot. I mean, those 2 guys will probably be some of my highest on running backs, I think. I don't know I haven't built yet, but I think he'll be pretty high.
Makes sense to me. And Hova says, what will you guys doing daily plug for the NFL playoffs? Yep, we'll be doing the plug. Not sure
the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Do the Super Bowl because we did it last year. Told you to captain Julian Edelman in the Super Bowl, and we know how that worked out.
Yep. Yeah, and I think we'll be doing Twitch streams and all that stuff as well.
Yep.
I think we're gonna break a sweat. Jimmy says, what do you think about Denver -3? Carr has issues in cold weather.
Yeah. A lot of quarterbacks have issues in cold weather, so I wouldn't necessarily say I wouldn't let that sway my decision. And if it was, I'm sure it's factored into the line as well.
Yep.
Oakland is playing to win though, for a playoff spot, so we'll see.
That's true. Jake says, is Taysom Hill playable at tight end on FanDuel?
I mean, apparently he's going to score a touchdown every single week, but no, I wouldn't. I mean, there's too many good tight end plays to waste it on Taysom Hill this week. Maybe if there's a week or it was a shorter slate where the tight end options are just straight trash. That's not the case this week. We have a lot of good guys to play, so I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Let's see here. Do you know why 10 touchdowns is trending on Twitter?
I think they want Joe Burrow to get 10 touchdowns. I think he threw 7 in the first half, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Joe Burrow, if you're not watching college football for LSU, will be the number 1 pick next year. Is 21 for 27 for 403 yards and 7 touchdowns in the first half.
That's actually insane.
Yeah, literally threw for 400 yards in the first half.
God damn. The dude for receiving, 9 for 186 and 4.
Yeah, Jefferson. Yeah, he went off.
Yeah, that's
Still got time to go too.
good God. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Jake says, "Are there any weather concerns anywhere?"
There actually isn't. Surprisingly for December games, I don't know. Well, Jake, you're in Virginia. You know, it's been pretty warm around here this week, so it's kind of the same way all throughout the country, and no precipitation concerns, no super cold weather concerns, really no wind concerns either. So I think it shouldn't affect too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jake says it's warm as shit today. Yeah, I went out with shorts and flip flops to the dog park.
I know, seriously, it's nice, like nearly 60 degrees here.
Yeah. Real quick, Jimmy says, "Can you do a brief advertisement for your MLB model?"
Yeah, for sure. It's one of our best models, I think. We said about a lot of models, but I mean, MLB is really good. So it ranks both batters and pitchers. Obviously, it has a showdown element as well, which crushed in the postseason. But the biggest thing about the MLB model is it ranks players based on a couple of factors that are the most important for predicting future success. And the fact that we include StatCast data as well, it essentially gives you quote unquote underperformers. Like we have underperforming receivers, we have underperforming NBA players. Like you're able to get guys who have been hitting the ball hard and far. And then if they haven't been hitting home runs or getting on base at a crazy clip, they'll go lower owned than they should. So our MLB model does a good job highlighting those guys, and its predictive measures are near the top of any predictive measures in our models.
Yep. And what I also like about it is not only does it use weighted MLB stats, it also incorporates minor league stats as well. So,
Yep.
okay. Hey, I love it when ESPN just randomly plays a video 10 minutes after I'm on a page. God damn.
I know it's the worst.
Yep. All right. Bismo says he is in the Arctic right now. There's 500 crashes today. People are ice skating on the roads. He had to crawl to his mailbox.
Christ, man.
Good God.
That's what it's good for living up in Minnesota.
And Paul comes in and says, "I feel like I won the Millie with Bruce Allen being fired today or Monday."
Did it say he was fired or just relieved of football operations? I feel like he's still going to be around the facility. We'll see. But yeah, if he's gone, it's only good news. Just one step closer to Snyder being removed as well, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Let's see if we got any last lingering questions. We'll be here for maybe 5 or 10 more minutes. Let's see. I want to ask you a question, Brian, because there is so much value opening up on here. I know. What do you think when we do the review? Normally, it's like for the flex spot, it's like what, like 50, 40, 10, roughly. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. For some reason, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of tight ends in the Millie Maker this week in the flex spot, just because there's a little bit more value that's opened up. What's your opinion on that?
I definitely could see that. I was looking at some projected ownership, and some of the tight ends are pretty high, and that I think that'll lead us to some two tight end lineups. So whether it's Kelsey and Goddard, and maybe Jack Doyle, who's underperforming, OJ Howard, like a lot of these guys. Caden Smith is still super cheap, so I think definitely a possibility we end up with some two tight end lineups, and maybe a higher than normal percentage there.
Makes sense to me, yeah. Um, excuse me. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you is, I know this is really only for the main slate, but looking at the Sunday night game, I tried to put this in our group chat, and it just got blown by in other conversations, and I'm too lazy to bring it up again. But, just a quick little look ahead. Lynch a captain, do you think that's a good idea?
I don't know. Pete Carroll gets excited when he talks about players, and that's what that quote was. Definitely some excitement.
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the week, there was a reputable source, I can't remember who it was, that said Travis Homer would get the majority of the carries. He's been around longer, is in game shape. So I prefer Homer, but again, if you're into some chaos and Lynch busts off a couple runs early in the game, he gets the rest of the workload. It should be a pretty chaotic slate. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Now, do you think that that could be a game where you do that in the setting in DFS Magic, that 2 running back from the same team?
You definitely can. Um,
Like, what if you did like a 10% exposure on Homer and Lynch being in the same lineup? Like, that wouldn't be the worst setup.
I think it would be the opposite. I think you go one or the other. It's like,
Mm.
all right, if you have to think if Homer does well enough to be in your lineup, it probably means Lynch doesn't get enough carries and vice versa. So I think I would exclude running backs from the same team.
Oh, I dig that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jake says, "What's your thoughts on Amari this week?"
I'm still not touching Dallas. Dax still had barely through all week. Same injury. Takes a couple weeks to heal if Pro Football Doc is right, and then bruised rotator cuff. So I'm out. I'll play some Gallup only because he's underperforming,
Mm-hmm.
but I think most of your exposure needs to come from the run game there.
Yeah. And what's your thought on the Pats game? Um, Paul wants to know if Brady is be real, and if he'll actually get to throw enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he'll throw enough, but last game was the first game since week, I want to say 2 or 3, that he posted a positive expected points added as a passer, which is hashtag bad if you go that long without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But Sanu's underperforming. Miami literally can't stop anyone. Huge favorite. I like a Brady stack tomorrow, especially if we get news, because Sonny Michel, we didn't talk about this yet, but he was downgraded to questionable today with an injury. And if he's out, that opens up either James White or Rex Burkhead for an extended workload, probably Burkhead. And I love a Brady, Burkhead, Sanu stack in that scenario. So I'm not opposed to playing him. I like stacking him with a high total on a team that has something to play for.
Yeah, Burkhead only 4,500 on DraftKings. That's yeah, for probably what if Michelle's out, probably what 10, 12 carries for him, maybe.
Maybe more. We'll see. We'll see. I doubt Damian Harris gets a ton of work. He's been the number 4 running back all year. Maybe he does get some if it's super late in the game, but I think Burkhead gets a ton of work tomorrow if Michelle's out. 15 plus touches.
Nice. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Schefter tweets out tonight.
Yeah, tonight's tweets are going to be the most important of the season. So,
Mm-hmm.
going to look out.
Absolutely. Um, all right, guys, we'll be here for maybe another minute or so. Let's rapid fire some questions. Do you have any last words, Brian, or any words of advice or wisdom?
Week 17 is tough. That's the biggest takeaway. Be on the lookout for news tonight. We're going to update the model plug in the morning with any significant news that we get.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough to limit your player pools because the amount of options, the amount of guys being thrust in the starting roles. Because there's so many of them, it dilutes the value of some of them. So a guy like Reichel Armstead for Jacksonville, who should step in and get a decent amount of work in Leonard Fournette's absence, I haven't really decided myself, how much that's worth on a 15-game slate, but we'll have to see, especially if other guys tomorrow morning end up being top plays as well. So just be flexible. I would say be building money if you can up until lock tomorrow.
Makes sense to me. Yep. All right. Let's see here. Paul says Case Keenum plus Sims.
Kind of like Steven Sims with Scary Terry out. Sims 21 targets the last 2 weeks. It's like Julio Jones type number. So I like that.
Yeah. All right. So if you don't have any last lingering questions, we're gonna get up out of here. Remember, guys, you can always follow us on Twitter at Occupy Fantasy. You can follow me on Twitter at CFB_Moose. You can follow Brian at BrianJesterFF. You can go ahead and hit that follow button up at the top right. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification. With that being said, OccupyFantasy.com is where you can check out the daily plug, Occupy model, and we will see you guys later.
Take it easy.